Lord, have mercy.
Save us, have mercy on us, and protect us, O God, by your grace.
Lord, have mercy.
Holy Resurrection Monastery is a Romanian Byzantine Catholic monastery in the village of St. Nazianz here in Wisconsin. One of the few traditional Greek Catholic monasteries really in the world. The job of a monk is to pray, is to live his baptism as seriously, as deeply as possible. It's a simple life. How cloistered we are in the monastery, how often we get out and how often we don't, how often we have people and the number of people, how strict our fasting is, how much silence we have. We're in the monastery as opposed to not having any silence or having silence all the time. In all those ways, I think we would be in the middle. We try to keep a balance. Thanks be to God, we've grown now to a community of 10. We're still a young community, both with respect to establishment and the ages of the monks. Our monks range from 76 to 24. People are surprised how normal we are and how ordinary we are, and I take great pride in that. I really am very happy with that because we are normal, trying to live a holy life. If they think they're already holier than thou before they come here, they're not going to last, because they have so many preconceived ideas that they've learned, who knows from where, about what it means to be holy, and often they're misguided.
God has a sense of humor, because this is the last place I figured I would kind of ever be, was a monastery. Just kind of lived kind of what I would consider a crazy life. It was immoral. I think that's the best way to put it. But there was a lot of self-medicating in very unhealthy ways. I was doing hip-hop music, hip-hop production and stuff with my group. There's kind of a day where it kind of all came to a point where it was like freezing cold outside. I was in the studio. I think I'd eaten ramen noodles like 2 days before. And at that point it was one of those, like, I just give up. And then it's, okay, if you're real, then let me know. And I prayed at that point to a God that I didn't know if he existed or not. So that was kind of a strange thing when I look back on it. But from that moment, kind of everything was different. Even though the process took numerous steps.
Lord, have mercy.
As a child, I had two things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a chef, and I wanted to be a monk. I went to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York, which is probably the most prestigious culinary school in the world. And from there I went on to work in a number of hotels and restaurants in the New York City area, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And after a good number of years, the stress level kind of built up, so I was looking for a job that was a bit more laid back. So I hired on as a chef on a private yacht in Greece, and I went to Greece for a year and worked as a chef. But that's where I was introduced to the Byzantine spirituality at the same time. So I really see how it all worked together to bring me here. Here in the monastery, I cook most days. We eat a much simpler diet or menu here in the monastery.
My first inkling that I wanted to be a monk was probably around 5 years old, where I grew up in Australia, and the parish church was on the grounds of the Catholic elementary school that I went to, and I can remember just looking at the crucifix and just being happy, and we'll call that prayer, shall we? From a 5-year-old's perspective. I went through a period where I questioned my faith a lot, especially when I was at university, and so I put off the idea of going into one of the few monasteries I knew existed for a while. And by the time I was ready to come back to the faith, like full bore, and I was actually working as an attorney. I was a solicitor, as we say, in Sydney.
I did everything. I was a painter, I did construction. It's almost like the Three Stooges. You see, they have all these jobs. But yeah, I mean everything. Everything. I mean, I was a waiter at a Japanese steakhouse, McDonald's, everything. So just kind of trying to find my way in life, I guess, find out, you know, what my passion was, and so the Lord led me to monastic life.
People then immediately jump to the conclusion that you're some sort of holy person, but we're not. We're just regular guys who have the same struggles that anyone else does, but we're living a life that's just more focused. I think more focused on on spirituality, on our salvation, really.